All right. So everybody, we have a new game we're going to play on In Lieu of Fun, which is that I just tweeted from the In Lieu of Fun Twitter feed, the feed, and everybody should retweet it with a link to the Crowdcast account to get more people watching In Lieu of Fun.
I agree with that.
So there you go. Everybody retweet it all of a sudden with the link to the Crowdcast.
I am hold on, I'm waiting for it to show up.
It's taking a while?
Wait, oh no.
The blue go live button is taking a while?
Okay. No, Ben, you just cut me off. We've been live for a minute.
Oh, now. Can I point out that yesterday's YouTube feed failed completely and cut off after 3 minutes? So the blue go live button may have favored you, but the YouTube gods did not like whatever sacrifice you made to them yesterday.
It's mostly like young goats. So maybe
yearling bull.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe I should I should spice it up. But yeah, no, that seems to have been like what happened last time. I don't know. Oh, there it is. I'm going to retweet this. And but also, and we're live. It's Saturday, April 3rd at 5:02 p.m. I could have said this 2 minutes earlier if Ben hadn't interrupted me.
It's okay. I think we got to vary things up sometimes.
Oh, I agree. So there's so it is just us Saturday. So I mean, let's just settle into being just us. I'm looking forward to planning the show, and I'm hoping that Clint Watts can possibly join us to talk about the beautiful essay that he wrote today. But he is not here yet. So just if the audience can keep an eye out for him too and let us know if he shows up, that would be great. But Ben, what's in your mind? How you doing?
Well, I'm doing all right. I have a brisket in that I'm smoking outside. So if you see smoke wafting in, that's the brisket smoke. And we've got a couple friends coming over for outdoor nice spring day in Washington, fire and brisket and drinks.
Perfect.
And we have some exciting news for planning the show this week. So first of all, I have a fabulous mystery guest for tomorrow.
Oh, I'm excited.
So ask me who it's going to be, Kate.
I don't care. I don't know.
And I have it's really an important point to make. It is not Taylor Swift. The mystery guest tomorrow is not Taylor Swift. I'm just telling you.
Okay. What if it is though? What if this is the time that it is Taylor Swift?
Maybe, you're going to have to wonder about that, whether when it's actually Taylor Swift, I say that it's not. I will give you a few clues. The person has one more syllable in her name than does Taylor Swift. That's the clue.
The whole name.
Oh, I'm leaving out middle names. I assume Taylor Swift might have a middle name.
Taylor Swift. Okay, so 4 syllables.
Actually, no, 2 more. I'm sorry. It's great when the clue you give is wrong.
And also, that's 2 clues because you.
That's right, Marcelo. It is Taylor Swifty. Anyway, that is all I'm going to say. So, in addition to that, those of you in the Greek chorus who have been asking for Chuck Rosenberg to come on the show, your prayers are answered finally. So I have asked Chuck a number of times. Chuck is not the mystery guest tomorrow.
There's 4 letters. That's 4 syllables.
It's the wrong. It's also I've already said the mystery guest is female. It's not. We're not talking about Chuck. Chuck.
Really strict genderist here, Ben.
No, it's true. Although I think if I were it would be misleading of me to use female pronouns for the mystery guest only to produce a male identifying guest. That said, Chuck has an article coming out, and probably on Tuesday, on a theme that we have talked about on the show before. And so I have asked him to come on and talk about his article probably Wednesday when it comes out. I will say, in the past, when I've invited Chuck on In Lieu of Fun, he has declined on the grounds that he is the opposite of fun. That is actually untrue. So I'm very much looking forward to having Chuck here. That'll be Wednesday. In addition, you scheduled Julia Angwin for Tuesday. Is that right?
Yeah. Is that okay?
Excellent.
Okay, great.
So we don't actually have that much scheduling to do.
We have Monday and Friday.
And Thursday.
No, Thursday is Virginia Heffernan.
Oh, Thursday is the 8th. Yeah. So, that is the day of the release of our so Virginia will come on the show on the 8th. I got to confirm that with her. So let me do that right now, because I kind of scheduled her without asking her permission. I'm
sure she'll be into it.
Are you into coming on In Lieu of Fun on Thursday to talk about our podcast project? So Virginia and I have been doing this very cool project together for the last several weeks of making a podcast which we colloquially call After Trumpcast, which is a lawfare production that I roped Virginia into hosting, that is based on the Bob Bauer, Jack Goldsmith After Trump book. So we are going to release the first episode this coming week on Thursday. It's very exciting. And so we will release that on Thursday, and I hope Virginia will come on Thursday to talk about it. I have to say the silver cut of the first episode is pretty fabulous, and I'm very excited about it.
Good.
So that just leaves Monday and Friday.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that. I have a lot of potential kind of things that I was thinking. My Second Circuit judge has said that he would be willing. He would like to come on to kind of talk mostly about his path through like the New York State legislature and the New York State courts into the Second Circuit, and kind of like I think it's kind of fascinating kind of discussion of like being an expert and sitting on the New York State Court of Appeals in state law, and then going and being appointed and moving over to the federal bench. And so obviously like he kind of just wants a little bit of notice to do a live show like that. But I thought that could be super interesting if people.
Great idea. We should see what when he's available. If you can do Monday or Friday or anytime the following week.
Okay, great.
We have suggestions for Brad DeLong, who
Ben zipped out for anyone else. But yeah, I see that the suggestions for Brad DeLong, that's a great idea. And in fact, I think he came up yesterday in our conversation with David. That was so great. But Ben, where'd you go? Are you there?
That was not a tech fail. That was a Ben fail. I clicked on the wrong thing and closed the screen. And it's funny how if you close Crowdcast, you disappear.
Yes. Although I do like to say that I'm loving kind of like both of us sitting in opposite sides of like in different like captaining and like other I don't know. I think it's good. It's like a nice change of perspective. It is very hard. So for instance, I've noticed that I've started using filler words so much more in doing this because I am like using part of my brain to rapture people in and look for people to like make sure that they're muted, that like their video is muted, to like make sure I'm following the chat and following the questions, to like follow the conversation that's happening. And I'm like, oh, it's really hard to construct like a sentence and listen to people It really is kind of amazing.
That's a real multitasking skill to, that I have never fully developed. I tend to use filler words more than I should anyway, which, by the way, the number of people who have written in to complain about both my and Sarah Longwell's about the French Village podcast. And I'm like, I'm sorry. Can you conduct an hour-long impromptu conversation on a subject you've literally never discussed before
with the other person?
Or with anybody.
With anyone.
I mean, we watch these episodes and then we get on a podcast and record on them. And doing that in an impromptu way without using filler words, I'm sorry. I think there are public speakers who are good enough to do it. I am not one of them.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, I was actually thinking we haven't had Windsor Man on in a while. That might be fun.
Windsor Man is my hero.
Okay, I know. You have such a very cute, his tiny little tweets are very good.
Writing aphorisms is like one of the hardest things to write. Writing little short sentences that capture an enormous amount.
Okay, I want to just drop his latest into the chat, which is it's almost too good to be true. He just sent it to me. I also yelled at him because it was like, you can't keep beta testing your Twitter lines on me, Windsor. But this one, he didn't test on me. He just sent it to me. But this was pretty amazing, which was a picture of the Zoom Freak 2's basketball vintage shoes. And he said, I just bought a pair of Jeffrey Tubins.
Yeah, he's very funny in this very low-key way.
Very low-key, very dry. It's excellent.
So, Windsor is welcome anytime. So we have several suggestions that I think are, one is people want Brad DeLong. I will get to work on that, but I honestly don't know him, and it sometimes takes a while and to organize with people I don't know. Walter Schaub is a very good idea, and he and I have a good relationship, and I'm happy to reach out to him. Let me just write this down. Brad DeLong, Walter Schaub.
Yep.
Who else were people recommending?
I love David Batz's question in the.
Who's Katie Benner on the Gates investigation. That would be fun.
Yes, I was actually thinking that too.
I'm very pro Katie Benner in general.
You're anti talking about Matt Gates.
I'm not opposed to other people spending their time researching Matt Gates. Who is Norman Rule? I can't hear you now. You better. Can people hear me, or is it Kate that's absent? All right. People also want Michael Steele. That should be very doable. Chris Krebs. We have several recommendations for Ona Hathaway.
Yeah, Ona would be great. Hi, I'm back. Sorry, this is happening. I'm noticing that my when I unplugged this, so this is an interesting thing that might explain what happened with a lot of guests. There was we could try to have Clint on Friday, or
something. I'm happy to schedule.
My AirPods did die. I lost the case for them. and going to, yeah. And so that's why I've been using these. And so I can't find the case anywhere, even though it has my email address printed on it. So it should be able to be returned to me, but no one has done so. So I'm just trying to, but anyways.
Thank you on Norman Rule. Sorry, I just blanked on that name. There is no chance that Sarah Kendzior would agree to appear on a show that I co-host. So we're not gonna do that.
We'll leave that there.
Yeah. So this gives us a bunch of people to get to work on.
Winter says he can do possibly Friday, but not Monday. Just FYI. So I'm going to pencil him in for Friday.
Let's try to do that. And this gives us a whole bunch of people to work on for Monday.
Yep.
All right.
I'm excited. I think that's a good week. And then I think that there's, I think that going into that is going to be, I am moving locations. So I am going to go back to Cape Cod for a week next week. So just to kind of take a little bit of a break. Things have gotten stable with Nina and like good, and John is kind of like, you need more sleep and to relax and some outdoors. And right now it's like some type of New York, there's been like some type of like crazy, like everything that could go wrong in a tiny apartment has gone wrong. And like, obviously everyone knows about the fire that happened and everything else, but like, then there was the gutting of all of the apartments in the line below us for 3 weeks. And then there was the constant, like now they're ripping up the entire street outside our window. And like, it is just jackhammering every day until like from 8 to 4. And it's just kind of like, I think that all of it is just kind of combining to be like, okay, like it wouldn't bother me so much if I was like able to sleep through a dog, like, and the dog wasn't coughing. But I think that like the 3 hours of sleep have like weighed on me, plus teaching 12 hours a week. I'm like that's like 36 hours of work just with the teaching. And then I've been doing everything else. So I am like maybe at like kind of wit's end with stuff. And I was watching an episode of a French Village, as Ben knows, and I like broke down into ugly crying for like 45 minutes. And John was like rubbing my back, and he was like, and this is also why I don't watch I remembered why I don't watch, no matter how good they are, historical dramas, is because like you can't tell yourself at the end of them when you're really like all emotionally ripped up, like, it's okay, it's just a story.
Yeah, you can say, because the real story was much worse.
It was so much worse. And that's all I could think. And I just was like spiraling, and John was like, calm down. And I'm like, I'm so tired. And like, it was just like, so anyways, there is that.
Go back to the Cape and rest and start another lamb prosciutto.
Oh, that is a good idea, Ben.
You just gotta always have a lamb prosciutto going.
Wait, we haven't even told the story of the yarn in EJ, which I just was about to mail today. Can I tell the story of the yarn?
Yep.
So basically, I found this. This is also something that happens to me, which is basically that there is like that I end up finding something and get put in this is just like, it's like rescuing the baby squirrel or like the baby chipmunk or the whatever. It's like,
or the baby former sheep.
Yes. So like I walked down into the small lobby of my building, and there is a small, tiny little square of like, where people sometimes place things to give away. And there are just 3 like enormous garbage bags, like full of completely like beautiful yarn. And I look at it and I pick one of them up, and it's a hand dyed skein of yarn that has a $30 price tag on it that says like 100% cashmere. And there's like 60 of them or something in like this kind of like bag. And I'm just like, what's going, I'm just like, literally like had like a whole like had all these groceries and then just like grabbed these extra bags and like shuffled into the elevator with them and got them out. And I was like, got into the house. And I was like to John, I was like, I'm not going to keep them. I'm not going to keep them. I'm not going to keep them. I promise I'm not going to keep them. And so anyways, yeah, it was all like in perfect condition, beautiful, beautiful yarn, not really to my taste, but like just amazing. The really sad part is that my building like has our doorman under orders to just like throw out. It's a very small building, and like they have like or under orders to just like throw out anything people leave there. So if I like hadn't grabbed it, just like all of this yarn that had been like painstakingly created would be destroyed. And I feel like, okay, I had to do this. But I have no real interest in like listing any of this or trying to like make money off of it. So now I am slowly going to package it up by lot and just kind of ship it to random people who have expressed interest for it on the internet after I posted something on Twitter. And this seems like such a, like, I feel like it's going to be a mitzvah. Or something like, I'm just going to like ship out this yarn. The yarn is going to be saved. Someone is going to get like hundreds of dollars, like lots of people are going to hundreds of dollars of free, beautiful, beautiful yarn for their beautiful, beautiful projects. And it feels good.
There you go.
Yeah.
That is economic efficiency right there. Somebody.
Is it?
It totally is. The yarn goes from somebody who doesn't need it to people who do have use for it. And it's and it does so quite quickly thanks to you and the internet.
Well, yeah, that is true. I will say that there is something really interesting about I've just done little projects of arbitrage like this my entire life. In fact, Will DeWitt, who some of you might remember, was just over and we were talking and he was asking what all the yarn was for, and I told him what it was for, and he goes, "Oh God, this is like your textbook project." And I was like, "My textbook?" He's like, "You don't remember?" So I totally forgotten. My freshman year in college, I had stayed for senior week, and everyone moving out had thrown away all of their stuff, but in particular, people had thrown away textbooks that were like worth hundreds of dollars, and I was aware of the burgeoning half.com textbook market that nobody else was aware of, seemingly. And so I literally, bless my parents, I spent a week just spending my days walking around with backpacks, picking up hundreds of pounds of textbooks and packing them into bankers boxes and cleaning them up with lighter fluid and like kind of like making them unscuffy. And then listing them on. My parents came to pick me up for college, and there were 12 bankers boxes full of textbooks.
And did you get rid of them all?
Yeah, I sold them all. It was my summer job that summer. I made $3,500, I think, like selling which was like a pretty good summer job when you were for at the time in like early 2000s, and allowed me to do all this other kind of like fun stuff. And yeah, it was a good little hustle. Shortly after that, people could donate their books, and then they created nonprofits that would do that and not like make any that would not make any money. Like they
gotta beat money, those pesky nonprofits.
No, I was just out from under them, right?
Yeah.
I'm a nonprofit. Like I was like 19 years old. I had no income. So anyways, it was sorry. Anyways, the yarn story, and like it just feels like there is a certain amount of crazy kind of adoption of this type of thing that I will, I always just kind of end up with anyway. So if anyone wants some yarn, feel free to DM me. Is also the moral of the story.
All right, should we go to audience stuff?
Sounds great.
Some are questions, some are not. I don't know what to call them anymore. Greek chorus engagement.
I'm a little disconcerted by Tony's question, but Mr. Bots, it's so lovely to see you.
Well, thank you. I'm delighted to see you, and I have
You've got a horned puffin. You've got some yarn,
and the Rapunzel.
And
Yeah.
spinning the yarn into gold. I'm glad you picked up my theme there. No one else made that joke. Thank you, David.
I'm here for you. Okay. Well, happy Saturday. It's delightful to see you both and to see everybody in the Greek chorus. So, who's gonna survive? And so, really, the two political survival questions, I think, are Governor Andrew Cuomo and Representative from the Florida First, Mr. Matt Gaetz. Interested in your thoughts.
Great question. I love this. What do you think, Ben?
I have a question for Mr. Botts about the terms of what constitutes survival.
That's a good question,
So,
I guess.
If Andrew Cuomo does not get booted from office because he announces he's not running again, and he's allowed to serve out his term, does that count as survival or not?
He survives if he does not get impeached. I would say he survives.
Okay, so survival means the absence of formal legal repercussions.
Or survival means that he does not submit his resignation.
So, in other words, he's allowed to serve out his term.
Correct.
Okay. And Gaetz, what if he escapes indictment and becomes a host on Newsmax? Is that a fight? Is that survival? Or is that decapitation?
I would say if he resigns, then that is not survival.
I think that like having to resign is not survival. Like reinventing yourself into a new being that is a Newsmax host is like not survival in your current form.
And is Newsmax survival really?
I mean, not for you, but you're not Matt Gaetz. Okay, so here is what I think for whatever it's worth. I think Cuomo will survive within the terms that you're describing. I don't see him resign. I think the lesson of Donald Trump is don't give in, don't resign, just ride it out and you'll prevail. And so I think that probably works for Cuomo in a democratic state. I'm not sure about that, but I think it probably does. And I think Matt Gaetz is in a world of hurt. I don't know whether he'll get indicted, but I don't think he would have preemptively started talking to Newsmax about leaving office early if he didn't think he had a problem.
Voluntarily, right?
Yes.
Kate, which one was that?
It was Lloyd.
Yeah, correct.
I know.
Exactly right.
I'm like slowly getting it. I know. Oh man, it only took like 372 episodes.
Kate, given your New York situation, do you think Cuomo makes it after everything he did with the nursing home business?
That's a great question. I don't think so. I don't know. It just it seems like people are so down on him here. And it's not just it's not just actually but it's from things that I'm hearing when I actually kind of am rarely in public. So it just really does seem it does seem like at least downstate he's and then I've been talking to our family in upstate and he's been kind of on the outs there for a while. So I don't know, on the other hand, it's kind of one of these questions of the do you switch kind of horses midstream type of thing. I really honestly wonder if that's going to be enough. I don't know. I just think I think that if we were in any other market, I think that he'd be gone. It's just, I think it's also entirely different than I feel like Gaetz's, the scandals are. There seems to be much, as we kind of were discussing the other day with Tim Miller, like Cuomo seemed to be much kind of more like normal, kind of run of the mill, like you did a bad job governing, like, or you were an unethical person, like with all of these women and did something really kind of terribly wrong. Whereas like, I feel like there is a berserker factor that makes Matt Gaetz like unpalatable as a human and political figure that isn't exactly the same with Cuomo. Does that make sense? Or am I just kind of...
I hear that. The way he went after some of the folks in the assembly, I think it's the assembly in New York.
Yeah.
They were taking it pretty hard, that he would say, you back off or I will destroy you. I mean, if you're an elected representative, probably that maybe.
Look, I mean, Cuomo should resign, but that wasn't the question. I thought the question was, what is the predictive sense of it? And I just not sure I understand I don't think he will resign. So the question is, although he's a rational actor, I think mostly, and so if he has no chance of surviving an impeachment process, I think he might resign rather than face that humiliation. But I need to know, to believe that's going to happen. I would want to see the results of Tish James's investigation and see that the votes are there to remove him under whatever New York's impeachment process looks like. At that point, I might revisit it, but he won't resign because it's the right thing to do.
Oh, yes. That's like, I should be clear that that's certainly like, there's no chance that there's kind of, unless he might not run again. I don't know. There's just
I think he won't run again.
Yeah. And there's like kind of, I think that there's generally kind of this sense that like, where is he going to continue in politics? Again, I don't know. Like that's like, what's also striking me is so interesting is like how much, and I'm like really curious about your thoughts about this, Ben. And like, this is where where Cuomo and Gaetz like kind of cross paths, which is like, they both have these very close tethers into the media community and becoming media commentators, and people going from being in like positions of political figures and positions of political power to becoming to like then getting paid big bucks to being commentators on things. And I wonder if we start to rethink what it means to be a commentator, that we're like hiring Elliot Spitzer, Sarah Palin, like all of these people into like this, into this idea of media commentary, and we value their opinion and we decide to amplify it into the media ecosystem. Like, maybe we don't care what Elliot Spitzer and Sarah Palin have to think about things, and Jeanine Pirro. Like, why are they here? Like,
well, I mean, Elliot Spitzer at least is smart, which actually, like, he's actually somebody who has interesting things to say and hang out with prostitutes and whatever. But I mean, he's got his problems, but he's a smart and interesting guy. I think the Sarah Palin question, like how they made, like, who gets to become a media celebrity is an interesting question. And a lot of it has to do with, this who's good on TV question.
Yeah, but we're like talking about this, like we're talking right now about like these platforms as if like they're putting Trump back up there, and they're like creating a platform for Trump, and they can't keep amplifying the speech, and like escaping everyone's notice is the fact that all of these cable news shows are like hiring and amplifying people who've done really terrible things and who have terrible ideas and who put out fake information and bad information. And I'm like, okay, you're right. Spitzer is not as dumb as the rest of them, but like there's a whole bunch. And like, why, I just kind of think that there's something interesting to say there.
Okay. Speaking of interesting, there is a large black bird that is on my bird feeder and keeps coming back.
Is it Clint Watts?
It is smaller than a corvid.
Oh, is it a grackle?
It is larger than a starling. and it kind of looks like, and I want to snap a picture of it to see if anybody can help me identify it.
Go snap a picture of it. I'm going to get Clint Watts is here.
Oh, well, let's bring him in.
I will. So go snap a picture of it, but
I can't now because it flew away.
Is it shiny? Does it have like a rainbow?
Got a shiny head.
Maybe it's a grackle. Sounds like it could be a grackle.
It does not have red strips on the wings. It kind of, I don't know what boat-tailed means, but it does kind of, it's kind of looks wet. Yeah, it's kind of a wedgy looking tail. And it's got a shiny, like purplish spot, like sheeny kind of thing.
Yeah, that's just really sounds like a grackle, honestly. But usually they're in groups, not like on their own. But I'm like, so Clint has accepted. He is coming on any moment.
Common grackle.
Yeah. John would throw open the screen door at the Cape House and scream, "Get out of here, grackles! Get out of here, graggles!" And then he would just like change the names of them slowly over time. But they were just like this they ate all over the birdseed, and they came in these huge groups.
Yeah, it's quite large, and I have not seen it around here.
But it's not a corvid. It's actually not. So this is actually something that I asked Kaylee about. It's like, remember, I was like, "Oh, we have all these grackles, but they're not." And she's like, "Yeah, they're not the same. They're not a corvid." No,
it doesn't. It's not. It doesn't seem like a corvid. I mean,
let me see if I can get Clint. He's connecting, but let me just text him.
Why don't you bring in one of our other questioners while you're working on Clint?
Oh, it's weird. He says that he can hear us, but that is. We will go to James Puckett. Hi, James. In a liquor store. James,
hey
with the mask on, you look like you're robbing the liquor store.
Good to see you guys.
It's great to see you.
I kind of am. Can you guys hear me at all?
Oh, just fine.
Okay, we're
cool. Sorry. I tried to get on. My iPad's messed up.
We can hear you just fine.
Yeah.
It sounds like you can't hear us.
I tried to get on a few times, but I can hear you guys. No, I was just going to say, first off, congratulations on the 1 year. Thank you very much for making my 2020 a lot more enjoyable and informed.
Thanks for joining us.
You guys have, I've taken you guys to North Carolina on a road trip. Obviously, you guys are with me at my work, and you've been at my home too. So thank you all very, very much.
Thanks for tuning in.
I wanted to say, Kate, too, good job on the Lincoln Project the other night.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. You were very, very awesome. Yeah, and I also wanted to say, too, it sucked because I was trying to get on the other day, and I know you guys tried to get me on, but I wanted to ask Tim Miller a question, and I've seen Tim on a bunch of shows through the last year, so that was like, I went home and my wife was like, "How was work?" And I was like, "I didn't get to speak to Tim Miller."
Well, we'll make sure it happens.
Yeah, we can definitely make sure that happens next time, James. Don't worry about it. So what's your question?
Yeah. Well, I just essentially was just, congratulating you guys. I was just going to ask where you guys, if you're going to fly anywhere or travel in the country once everything is fully okay. My wife and I straight up are going to go to Disney World. So that was my question. And have a great show, guys.
Well, my plan is to go.
I love that guy. He's so great. I love that he literally asks questions from like being at work at the liquor store. And it's
it's great.
It's amazing. It's just like, so he's wonderful. I love him. Anyways, go ahead. You're going to do your train trip.
I am going to do my plan is to when I am fully vaccinated, do a circuit around the United States by Amtrak, focusing on locations I have not previously spent time. And I plan to let Kate run the show and join by spotty internet hotspot connection, and I will. So it'll be in lieu of fun on the road. That's my plan.
I love that. I need to get a plan for where I think I'm going to go. But, and this is kind of partially an answer. Actually, I'll bring Evan to ask in a second. But I think that probably the first place I'll go is Montana. But until France had its kind of its new kind of burgeoning wave, and it's now it's like it's commiserate lockdown. I was thinking that I really have been dying to go back to Europe. Like it's like everything from like Ada's pictures over the last year about like something beautiful and everything else have just made me miss, and reading about Rome and reading about Italy and reading about like France like have made me miss kind of the ruins and the farm, and like all of like actually like a French village has made me deeply miss like kind of the beauty of the French countryside and rural France, which I've always found to be completely gorgeous. Wait, Petra, really? I can't go to Europe in 2021? Is that like absolutely nuts? Well, I mean, that's why I said it wasn't my first place. It was just like on my top. It was on like my top places to go once we could travel places. My parents have booked a trip for 2022 in Egypt. So I don't know. Like, is that a thing people are doing? Like,
it's a thing your parents are doing.
I guess so. I'm like, do you have travel insurance? Like, I don't know if that's going to happen, but yeah. So, yeah. What do you think? Totally
I don't
crazy?
know. I have not planned any overseas travel yet. And probably won't until vaccination is much more widespread than it is.
Yeah.
We should.
I'm trying to. I'm doing it. I'm clicking the things. Auntie.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Nice to see you, friend.
You too.
Is it what percent time is it light out now in Finland? Has it crossed 50-50?
It's a bit dark.
That is a bit dark. That's quite dark.
Yeah. And also for Daniel, look at that.
Is that like? Did you and Daniel buy matching chairs, Auntie?
No, not quite. But I mean, that's a dark chair, just for Daniel.
But you should, to make it proper for Daniel, you should put a light in back of it.
Oh yeah, that's true.
It's really, it's not the full Daniel effect is not achieved unless you have a dark shirt in the dark chair with a light sort of down the wall in back of you.
Yeah. So, and by the way, Kate, welcome to Finland. You know, we're here, right here for you. Wow.
You dissing Finland?
Only because I just finally mailed the gift that I've been meaning to send to Auntie for forever. And it'll get there eventually, just in time.
I owe Auntie a package as well.
I know.
But
it is hard and arduous to send things like with custom slips across. Like it is just like I've gone to the
you got to stop illegally shipping lamb prosciutto to Finland, Kate.
I'm just going. So now that you've gotten me in the mood, Ben, I'm going to make a whole leg of lamb prosciutto, go back out to Cape Cod in 6 months, and then I'm going to ship you the whole thing. And then and then we're going to have a picture of you
holding it up. That is one of my absolute favorite moments of In Lieu of Fun, when we started the show and Kate just went like this and picked up this giant lamb prosciutto. Meanwhile, Auntie, what's on your mind?
Oh, right. I did have a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the part of Finland where I live, there's this really old custom that we burn large bonfires to ward off evil spirits on Easter Saturday, because it's right after Jesus died, so the protection of God is at its lowest ebb, and the more smoke and sparks you fly up in the air, more protection. So, and I saw a really large bonfire quite close up, so presumably I have all the protection, I'm gonna need. But
Wait, do you get more protection from being proximate to the bonfire? It's not just a symbolic thing. There's also just like an element of like you're close to it. So
yeah.
Maybe I
That's
need to
correct.
bring in the Reverend Doctor to tell us more about this. I've never heard of this
That's true.
before.
That's
This is-
true.
But continue. Like, I mean,
Yeah. So is there anything even closely resembling that in either the States or in Canada? Well, Pauline could attest to that, but I mean,
So we should actually bring in.
I am. I'm going to. Now we're going to.
Hillary to talk about this.
Okay, she's invited on, so we'll see if she accepts.
So you
it.
should mute Auntie when he's not talking because we're getting a bad echo on him.
Sorry, I'm sorry. I feel like I'm like stressing you out with my like poor driving today, Ben. Hillary.
Hello.
Hi, friend.
Hi,
So-
how are you guys?
You know about this?
I don't know about that in particular, but there is a tradition. The 3 days of Holy Week leading up to Easter are called the Triduum, and the final night is the Easter Vigil, which is like some traditions will light a fire, and it's kind of the symbol of light and anticipating Christ's resurrection and the light of
Well,
Christ
that's
overcoming death.
interesting because I always saw it as like I do remember bonfires, but never as protection. It was always like a celebration, or like they were like, I always thought they were supposed to be like representative of like the coming like kind of rebirth of Jesus, or like right, and like the resurrection of Jesus. But maybe like, but like Auntie saying that made me think that maybe I completely misconstrued it and like only put that on it myself. Go ahead, Auntie.
So this custom is that it's actually specific just to this one part of Finland. So it's not done in Finland elsewhere. So that's also kind of odd, but then again, we're Finns, so.
You said it, not me. Okay. I love that I can just mute you now after I say that. But okay, so back to you, Hillary. I don't even know what you're saying, Auntie, but it's probably in Finnish, so we couldn't understand it anyways. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, I think there's different traditions, and I think that what Auntie is talking about is true in some traditions. I know in Celtic traditions, that's also, I think they have something similar. It's like a fire that anticipates the light of Christ's resurrection, but is also kind of burning away evil spirits, because there's this sense that there's this 3-day period and you're kind of anticipating Jesus' resurrection, but it hasn't happened. And like literally all hell's broken loose, but yet we're waiting for Christ. It's kind of this dramatic time behind the scenes. But unfortunately our tradition, a lot of mainline traditions don't do the full Triduum. That tends to be something that's done in more liturgical traditions, but some churches are kind of recapturing that. I think it's a really cool tradition that I'd like to see kind of come back in, because I think there's a lot of symbolism in it, and I think people can relate to that imagery and that concept. So
Yeah.
I don't know as much about it as I probably should, but I think it's an interesting tradition.
It's Auntie, I assume it's a Lutheran. Finland is primarily Lutheran, right?
Yeah, since the Middle Ages, yeah.
So that's interesting. I mean, I didn't know anything about to do what's the name of the? Wait, you're muted.
Mute myself.
There you go.
It's called the Triduum.
Triduum.
Triduum. So it's a 3-day. So it's Maundy, Thursday, Good Friday, and the Easter Holy Saturday Easter Vigil, leading up to Easter Sunday.
Interesting.
The Easter Vigil is similar to like around Christmas time. Christians celebrate, like we have like candlelight services on Christmas Eve. This is kind of similar, but but anticipating Easter.
Mhm.
And like I
Super
said,
interesting.
I literally have
Yeah.
never heard of that.
it tends to be in more, like I said, like liturgical traditions, although like mainline traditions, like we're kind of picking up on it more. So
So
Cool.
Triduum is just 3 days, right? Yeah. Interesting.
Were you gonna
I
say
was-
something, Andy?
Yeah, I was just going to bring out that there's actually a distinct different bonfire tradition that's practiced in other parts of Finland where you actually use the same type of bonfire during midsummer. But that's for
It
another
sounds like you
purpose.
guys are using a lot of excuses to have bonfires.
Oh, Ben, like you don't have sympathy for that.
I'm totally sympathetic. Like, you know, Judaism doesn't have a good bonfire tradition. It's
Yeah,
like,
but you have baby cannons, so.
yeah, but that's not a religious thing.
Well, it
Oh,
is,
really?
it is in the Wittes household. Auntie, thank you so much for your question. I have one
Yeah,
question
thanks.
for you, Hillary, before you go, which is just like, how have you and your flock been celebrating the Easter holiday? And what are you doing this weekend?
this week's been kind of weird because we're still virtual. So everything we've done was virtual. We did a virtual Maundy Thursday service with communion. Yesterday, I just kind of gave people stuff to do Good Friday kind of on their own virtually, which felt really weird. But we're reopening our sanctuary tomorrow. Tomorrow's our first day back in the sanctuary since March 1st, 2020.
Wow.
That's
So
great.
we're excited, but we didn't want to have anybody in the building this week while we're leading up to it. So we couldn't have any services. And then it was really cold here this week. So I thought, well, maybe we could do an outdoor something. And that really didn't happen. So tomorrow's our big reopening day. We have a sunrise service in our cemetery, which is cool because it plays up on some of that biblical imagery of Christ in the tomb. And then we go into our sanctuary for our sanctuary worship. So we're excited.
So cool. Thank you so
Well,
much
have
for
a
sharing
lovely Easter. And
Yeah.
and
that. Have a great Easter, Hillary. It's so
and-
great to think about that.
good to see you.
Okay. And for our last question, we have the incomparable Ev.
Who is not in her usual wood paneling native habitat.
Persona.
No, you're right. I'm in the countryside for Easter, so
Oh, good.
Excellent.
in the office. So yeah, I've seen this question from about travel, and I was wondering if you wanted to talk a little bit more about Montana, Kate.
Oh, sure. But I was also going to say that Ev and I have been like completely, because I don't want to give you any spoilers, Ben, but Ev has also been watching A French Village, but
I know that.
but I need someone to cope with. Well, you told me she was watching it, so then I reached out to her and was like, "Can I cope with you for watching this show?" And so we have.
Oh,
been,
because I hushed you when you tried to.
well, I didn't.
When you started telling me things about episodes I hadn't watched yet.
Well, yes, but like rightfully so. Like, I mean, like I get really excited about things and then I watch all of the things and like
I'm only allowed to watch 2 episodes.
I know. And so I'm waiting for you. And then I think we're going to have a huge breakthrough because we're going to be on the same page about a bunch of stuff. But I think that there's like, not that much changes. It's just like, it's totally, anyways. But like, so Ev has been wonderful. And we've been talking about it a lot and about like a lot of kind of like the film direction and like the things that are going on and like parallels. And like, it's just been really great. So it's nice to see you in person.
Yeah, it was a really cool conversation.
Well,
yeah, it was
I
fun.
am.
We were also saying how much we love your podcasts
about the French Village. I think this is the loopiest project I have been roped into doing this year, and I'm enjoying it a great deal.
Wait, loopier than In Lieu of Fun show?
No, I wasn't roped into doing In Lieu of Fun. I roped you into doing In Lieu of Fun.
But to your question, Ev, it's so nice to see you. But to your question, yeah, I actually just messaged the farm. So there's a few kind of interesting pieces that are backstory on the farm.
I think you need to give a little background because I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
Oh, well, you know that I go to this farm in Montana.
I know,
summer.
but why? But why
Oh.
is Ave asking about it?
Because she was playing, so she was playing off of Puckett's question that basically asked, like, where is the first place you're going to visit? And Ev was like, oh, like, of course Kate's going to go to Montana. And then she was like, actually, Kate, can you tell us more about Montana? And so I was like, okay.
I get it. Now I understand all the
Sorry.
connective tissue.
Sorry. So so here's a couple of really interesting things about being friends with a bunch of people that you met strangely through a farm labor matching service over the internet, housing labor matching service over the internet, which is that if you do this, you don't actually you could get along with them really, really well for 2 weeks and for 10 years. But you just kind of are stretched to learn new things about yourself. So for one, when I first started going to the farm, they were anti-vaxxers, like exceedingly strong anti-vaxxers. And I had to swallow my tongue in my throat to not be offensive and tell them that how smart and really thoughtful and wonderful they all were and great they were about organic food and all of these other things, but crazy they were about being anti-vaxxers. And then about 5 years into going to the farm, at some point, a child's fingernail got ripped off by a horn of a bull. And the threat of tetanus was so great that they got vaccinated. And then it was kind of like
Tom Lehrer's great joke in which he described the picture of anxiety is the Christian Scientist with appendicitis.
Yeah.
This is, you don't believe in vaccines until your kid has a tetanus problem. And then funny how that sharpens the mind.
There's a bunch of things like that about this. And I don't want to destroy any of their privacy, so I'm not going to get into it. But that I would say that they changed their mindset around vaccines generally. And then but there's this, I don't know how to say that after being in a mindset where I wake up every day and sit down in front of my computer every day in a city, every single day, as a person who loves nature, and I think you guys all know at this point, there is going out to this farm and driving there. You drive for 2 miles around just straight grid dirt road past German Baptists and Amish on their bikes. And I mean, that's not just German Amish and Baptists. There's their farm happens to be next to a German Baptist and Amish farm. And there's many other much larger commercial wheat farms that are nearby and everything else. But there's a huge reservoir. There are irrigation issues. There's tribal issues. It's a huge tribal land. It is one of the most amazing experiences of my life to kind of just go and be able to drop into this lifestyle. And I realized what a gift it is, to have this family that I love and that love me and let me just come and live with them a couple times a year. Yeah, I just really am looking forward to it. I usually go out the end of July into early August, and there's usually fires out there that time of year. It's usually 95-degree days, and you work all day harvesting garlic by hand. And they do all sustainable farming. So they do it with a plow horse, or they did it with a plow horse until the plow horse dropped dead. And it turns out that the way to get rid of a dead plow horse is to leave it for a very long time, and it gets very smelly. I mean, just all of these kind of things that are super gruesome, but are really real. And that's their daily reality. And they're just completely normal, went to college, and did things like I do. And they have a completely different everyday life and kind of existence. And it's just it's one of the most, am I fascinated by the Hunt for Red October connection? I did not make the Hunt for Red October connection until 2 years after I'd been there. And then I was there is some unspoken thing that has led me to this place. I also ride horses while I'm there, which is I grew up riding Western. And so riding out there is the way you were kind of always meant to ride. I don't know if anyone has ever had the opportunity to ride in in like New England or something, but you just ride around a ring and it just feels terrible. Like I just feel like it's not like how you're supposed to be riding a horse. And so I've loved those kind of like they've also had bees. Sorry, I know that was not what bee harmony is, but like they had bees. Like they've had like I've like the chickens. There's been like I took the MPRE out there like at Missoula and then like picked up a box full of kittens for them from someone off of Craigslist and drove it home. I mean, it's like so many adventures, like so many amazing adventures. It's just been like
It's
there'll
so
be a book
you
someday.
to pick up a box of kittens for somebody in Missoula.
Can I just also say that I like was told that I had to pick up this box of kittens and I drove their car into Missoula and I had to sit for 3 hours in the MPRE and it was like, the answer is A, the lawyer answered unethically. The answer is B, the lawyer didn't act unethically. But let's go C, box of kittens. And I'm like, wait, no, there was no box. It was like, all I could think about was a box of kittens. And I was like, oh, I'm going to fail the MPRE. I, in fact, did not fail. I passed it by 1 point. So
better than I did on the Maryland State Functional Writing Test in high school, which I failed.
I would love to hear that story sometime.
I will tell you that story next Saturday when it will be just us, because we have to wrap, because I got to get the brisket out of the smoker.
Go get out of the smoker.
So we will be back tomorrow with my 5-syllable awesome mystery guest.
Who's old lady?
And we will have a Clint on Monday. Is that right?
Yeah. Clint Watts will join us on Monday to talk about his amazing essay.
We got the show all planned.
Yeah. Wow.
And it'll all start 22 hours and 58 minutes from now.
And until then, Ben.
We don't have fun anymore, but dog shirts are back.
I'm so excited for dog shirts being back.
They're all clean.
I love it. I haven't seen
washed.
The Chocolate Lab in forever. This is like...
And the sun on the dog shirt, tomorrow might have to be a dual dog shirt day.
I can do that.
All right.
All right.
We'll see you.